So it says, given the graph, find the following below. We find the graph, the slope. So it is up 1 over 3, up 1 over 3, up 1 over 3. So our rise is 1 and our run is 3. So 1 over 3, remember it's rise over run. Now, what is the x-intercept according to this graph? Where does it cross the x-axis? At -9 is correct. Right here is where it crosses the x-axis. So this is -9, 0. Now be careful. On tomorrow's test, they're not going to say what is the x-intercept. They're going to tell you what is a 0. So you need to understand that when they're asking you for the 0, they're asking you for the x-intercept. So watch out. What is a y-intercept? Okay, very good. So 0, 3. Now I need you to remember that domain is all possible x values, and we go left to right. From left to right, we actually end up going arrow to arrow. So my domain is going to be, anybody? All real numbers. Why is it all real numbers? Very good. This arrow means it keeps going. So we can write it like that, or you can do the funny looking R. What about the range? Range is all possible y values, and we go bottom to top. So according to this graph, how low does it go? Very good. Arrow to arrow again, from bottom to top, so it's all real numbers. Is this graph increasing or decreasing? How do you know it's increasing? Very good. From left to right, it's going up. All right, number 2. It says, find the slope of the line that passes through the given points. So this is our x1, y1, x2, y2, and we're going to use the slope formula, which is y2 over, minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Alright, so it's the second y minus the first y. Careful because it's minus a negative, so that changes to 17 plus 11 over 9 minus 3, which is 6. So it's 28 over 3. That's our slope. So that'd be the same thing for number 2b. Alright, on this next part, it asks you to graph. If you have an equation that looks like this, then it's easier because y is by itself, so your y-intercept is 6. So you go to the y-axis, plot a 6. And then your slope is a whole number, -2, so put a little 1 underneath. So you go down 2 to the right 1. You always start to the right. So down 2 to the right 1, down 2 to the right 1, and keep going. I only go to the left to extend it, and there's our line. So we start where the y-intercept tells us, and we follow the slope. The slope is always the one next to the x. Now they're not always going to be this simple. Sometimes they're going to give you the equation in standard form. You can find the x and y intercepts or use your calculator. So let's use our calculator. Remember, the more you practice it, the more likely you'll remember tomorrow's test. So I'm going to open a graph page. I'm just going to open a new document. That way it's nice and clean. Oops. New document. No, I don't want to save something. And a graph. Because this is in standard form, I'm going to have to change this to a relation. Santiago, can you do me a favor and turn off the light? So you're going to delete the equal sign and then select relation. Then type in the equation. So here is 2x minus 3y equals 12. 2x minus 3y equals 12. It's kind of bright, so let me make it a little darker so you can see it. And then if you actually have to match the graph, you can kind of see what it looks like already there. Your x-intercept is at negative, your y-intercept is at -4 and your x-intercept is at 6. But you can always add a grid, menu, view, and then grid. Oops, sorry, messed up. Menu, view, grid, and then you want the line grid. Okay, so you can actually also see what the slope is. If going up 1, no, it's going up 2 over 3, up 2 over 3. So again, it crosses at the -4 on the y-axis, +6, and it's going up 2 over 3, up 2 over 3, up 2 over 3. So let's say they give me a problem like this, and they're asking me for the slope. I can graph it, and I can look for the slope like that. The slope would be 2 over 3, excuse me. And then the y-intercept obviously is -4 because that's where it crosses the y-axis. So use your graph, use your calculator. Bless you. Alright, and then C, we can always do C also in the calculator, just like a relation. Because I'm being a little lazy, I don't want to have to open another graph, so I'm just going to double click on this one. And it opens it, and I can just control delete, clears everything there, and I'm going to open the new one. Type in the new one. Y equals -2, y equals -2, parentheses, x minus 3 plus 4. So even if it looks weird, you can always type it as a relation, hit enter, and gives you your new line. I cannot see the top, I can't see the y-intercept, so I'm going to put my cursor here, hold it down, and the little hand comes out, and then I can move it down so I can see it a little bit better. Okay? Alright. Looks like it crosses at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then it crosses again down here at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it crosses at 10, and then at the x-axis is at 5. And you can kind of see the slope is going down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1. Let me see, that ends up being correct. Down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1. Yep, works out perfect. So if they were asking me for the slope and the y-intercept, the slope is down 2, so -2 over 1, or just -2. The y-intercept is 10. If I had to write an equation, then I would put y equals -2x. Remember, slope always goes next to the x, plus 10, my y-intercept, since this is a +10. And yes, there's a problem like this, where they're going to give you a graph, and they're going to ask you to which equation matches a graph. Okay? So I have to do something like this. Alright, I suggest for number 4a and number 4b, you do the same thing. They give you an equation, graph it, and then find the slope. Count where it goes through the coordinate points. If you want to do it by hand, though, you're going to have to solve for y, because I cannot see the slope the way it is in standard form. So get rid of the x first, always. Do the opposite. Add an x, the x, so add a 3x over here. The equation is 10 plus 3x. Since there's nothing with the y, we are done. And remember, the one next to the x, once y is by itself, that's your slope. So m equals 3. Same thing over here. Subtract the x first. If it was negative, then we add it, right? Like over here. Because it's positive, we're subtracting. We do the same thing to both sides. But these are not like terms, so they just go next to each other. In this one, we have to do an extra step because you have a -12 with the y. So y is not by itself yet. They're touching, so that's multiplication. The last thing is to divide by the exact same number. -12, -12, -12, -12, -12. This will give me a positive 4/3. This will give me a positive 1/2 x. So my slope is a positive 1/2. Now again, I could have done that in the calculator. Select relation, type it in, 6x minus 12y equals negative 16. Okay, and then see where it crosses. It goes, you know what, this one I had a problem with last period. We had a hard time finding where it crossed. So I showed them another shortcut in case you want to learn it. If you go to menu, analyze graph, and you hit dy dx, it's the same thing as rise over run. The change in y over the change in x. So if you click on the line, see how there's like a floating little number? Double click, and it stays there. So my equation, my slope is half, or 0.5. So half. So you don't want to do all this math and you're having a hard time finding it using the grid. Just do menu, graph it, then do menu, analyze graph, and then dy dx, or change in y over change in x. Or I think it's menu 6 5. It's hard. I think it's hard to remember the steps as numbers. I like to remember them more what it says. So it's up to you. Alright, turn the page. Alright. Okay, so whatever is your starting fee, that's going to be your y-intercept, or the b in the equation. And then it says plus $25 an hour. So this is actually your rate, or your slope, or the m, which is the same thing. So our equation is y equals mx plus b, where m is our slope, 25, always goes next to the x, the slope, and then our initial fee is $40. So whatever you're starting with is always your y-intercept. So remember that. So if we're going to graph it, whatever my y-intercept goes, that goes on the y-axis. And that's going to go here, $40. So if I know that this is money, then I can put this as, label it as money charge, or charge for diagnostics, or whatever, computer charge or something. Computer cost for repair. Alright, and then down here, well then the independent would have to be my x. If this is $25 per hour, then x is time in hours. Now I'm going to be paying $25 per hour, so in 1 hour it's going to go up 25, so then it'll be $65 over 1. And then in 2 hours it would go up another 25, so we'd be at 90, I believe, and so on. Okay. So again, my slope was 25, the y-intercept was 40. Number 6 says draw a line through point 1,5, so 1,5 is here, and has a 0 slope and is parallel to the x-axis. What kind of lines have a 0 slope? 0. Remember, it helps us write the letter Z for 0. Horizontal. So make a horizontal line. Also, there's a poster on the board that says horizontal, m equals 0. So make a horizontal line through this point. Remember, it helps us write the letter Z for 0. And it is also parallel to the x-axis. This is the x-axis. I'm just tracing it over. And see how they're parallel? They don't intersect. So this is a horizontal line, and the equation for a horizontal line is always y equals whatever is crossing at the y-axis, 5. If we would have drawn a vertical line, then it would be perpendicular to the x-axis. Alright, number 7. I want everybody to please open a graph. And it's graph number 7. Okay, so you should have opened a graph. Delete the equal sign, select relation, and plug in negative 3x plus y. Control equals pulls up the inequalities, is greater than negative 1. It helps if you add a grid, menu, view, grid. Okay. So it's starting at the negative 1, it's going up 3 over 1, up 3 over 1. Starts at the y, negative 1, up 3 over 1, up 3 over 1, up 3 over 1. If you put your cursor on top, you can see that it is a dashed line. we're shading above. So if it asks us to match the equation, y is greater than, because we're shading above, the slope is up 3 over 1, next to our slope is the x, and then our y-intercept is negative 1. 7b is easier because you can see that the y-intercept is 8, and the only way you can see this is because y is by itself. Your slope is positive 2, so you go up 2 over 1, but I only have enough space for 1, so then I have to go backwards to the left. But we always start to the right. I only go to the left when I run out of room. Because the inequality is less than, but it doesn't have an equal to, we do dashes, and then less than is shading below the line. If you're not sure which side is below, pick a point, put a line going up and a line going down, then below has to be on this side, because this is below that point. Same thing on C, I would do relation. Alright, turn it over. No reason to get these wrong, guys. Just as long as you know how to use your calculator, you should be okay. Alright, this part is definitely different. We haven't seen it like this before. It gives you the linear parent function f of x equals x. This is the same thing as saying y equals x. So this is the parent function. What is the y-intercept? Is there some? Can you see it? No. So it's a plus 0. They're not going to put plus 0. You just need to know that. And the slope, there's nothing in front of the x, so the slope is 1. So the parent function starts at 0, 0, and it's going up 1 over 1 because our slope is 1. And then it says, go ahead and go back to the f of x, meaning the original equation you started with, and subtract it 2. Well, the original equation was y equals 1x plus 0. So x, well, plus 0, I'm not going to put it, but if you subtract the 2, then this is my new equation. Y equals x minus 2. So the only thing that changed is what? What is the only thing that changed? The y-intercept. The slope is still 1. So now our graph starts down here at negative 2, but our slope is the same. Up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. So our new line looks like this. How did it change from the first line to the second line? How did it change? So it's not starting at 0 anymore, now it's starting at negative 2. So all the points moved how? Down. So the new line shifted down 2 units. So when we subtract, the outcome is that it shifts down. What do you think is going to happen over here? We add 5. Exactly. So our equation was y equals x, but now it's y equals x plus 5. So my y-intercept is 5. My slope is still 1. So up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. Run out of room, so the other way. So compared to this first one, this one is shifted up. So write down shifts up 5 units. So when we add, it shifts up. Alright, and then the only new thing on C, nothing changes other than you're going to put a negative. So my equation was y equals x, now it's going to be y equals negative x. So now, again, if there's nothing in front of the x, there's a 1, so my slope is negative 1. But I still start at the y-intercept 0 because they didn't add or subtract anything. So we still start at 0, but now instead of going up, we go down. So this is called a reflection. Please copy it. This reflects over the x-axis. For sure, guys, one of these two is going to be on the test. This one, not yet. It will be on the next one or on the next week's assignment. On number 9, it gives you an equation, a function notation, and it says find f of negative 8. If they're giving you this number, inside the parentheses, very good, they're giving you the x. So don't worry about this f of x. This is kind of like your label. Worry about this x. This is where you substitute it in. 1/2, 2 times negative 8 plus 4 minus 11. Now this is kind of long. I would use a calculator because there's negatives, there's multiplication, there's distributing, and there's room for mistakes. So I would open a calculator page. 1/2. So control division pulls up a nice little fraction. Open parentheses. Ooh, not on the bottom of the fraction, but next to it. 2, and then open parentheses again. Negative 8 plus 4 close parentheses minus 11. So don't break your head, especially if you already did it by hand. That's good, but please double check yourself with the calculator. My answer is negative 17. Because this gave me a negative 16. Negative 16 plus 4 is negative 12. Then I have a half outside. Half of negative 12 is negative 6. Negative 6 minus 11 is negative 17. Now somebody asked me last period, is there a way of doing this in the calculator? And there is. This is how you can do it without having to substitute in. You would go to a graph and see how it already has the f of x, just like our equation does. Leave it. Just worry about what's on the right side. Control division, 1/2. Click to the right, open parentheses. 2x. This one time I do need to leave the x. Plus 4, close parentheses, minus 11. Always use a minus, guys. In case you're not sure if it's a minus or a negative, use a minus. Okay, that gives me the line, but I cannot see the points, so I have to open a table. Go menu, table, and then you can only pick split screen. So menu, table, and then this first one is my x column. See how there's a little x? And we said if it's inside the parentheses, they're giving me the x. So I need to go where x is negative 8. Well, if you look down, the numbers are getting bigger, so I don't go down, I want to go up, so I can find negative 8. There it is, negative 8, and the answer is negative 17. So that's how you do it in the calculator, if you don't want to do it by hand. Well, there's 2 ways of doing the calculator. All right, number 10. You have 1/4, 4x plus 12 is less than or equal to 2x plus 16. We're almost done, guys. You have to distribute the 1/4, so that'll give me 1x plus 3 is less than or equal to 2x plus 16. I cannot have 2 x's, so let's subtract the one from the right, minus 2x. Then subtract the one on the left. If I subtract on the right 2x, I have to do the same on the left. That'll give me a negative 1x. The last thing there is to get rid of the 3. So subtract the 3. Subtract the 3. This is going to be 13. And then negative 1x. I cannot have a negative x or negative 1x, so we divide. But when I divide, what happens to my inequality sign if I divide by a negative? Very good. Flips. Now again, last period they asked me, is there a way of doing it in the calculator? And there is. If you open a graph, the only thing is, well, I'm going to show you 2 ways. You're going to have to delete the equal sign, select relation, and plug it in. Control division, 1/4, open parentheses, 4x plus 12, close parentheses, control equals to pull up the inequality, which is less than or equal to 2x plus 16. Now, the only hard thing about this one, and it's not that it went black, it's that it shaded everything, and that's because I'm too close, so I have to zoom out. Menu, window, zoom, and then you want to hit menu, window, zoom out. So zoom out, number 4. You get a little magnifying glass, just click on it, and see how it zooms out. Now, it's kind of hard to count all the numbers, But you can try and count. You're like, okay, what number is this? And see that it crosses at negative 13. That one's kind of hard to tell there, but you can tell that for sure it is a solid line and you're shading to the right. If it's shading to the right, the numbers must be, the variable is what? What are the numbers to the right? Greater than. So then you're like, okay, whatever my answer is, it has to be greater than because we're shading to the right. So then it can't be G and it can't be F because those have less than. And then if you weren't sure if it's 13 or negative 13, to be able to tell for sure, you can do a calculator page and you can do NSolve. Menu algebra numerical solve. Menu algebra numerical solve. Type it in. Control division 1 over 4, parentheses, 4x plus 12. Ooh, fast. Not like that. Parentheses, 4x plus 12. Now you can use inequalities when you do NSolve. You're going to have to use an equal sign. So equals 2x plus 16. Don't forget comma x. So then the answer is negative 13. So if I had started with that, I would have already crossed out the positive 13 and positive 13. But this one only gives me the number, it doesn't give me the inequality, so that's why you have to use the graph. So if it's shading to the right, it's greater than. If it's shading to the left, it's less than. All right, last question of our review. As for the domain, remember domain is left to right. How far does this go left? What is the x value? Negative 5. Now, a lot of people, see how I put the negative 4? They're thinking that you're going to follow the y value. Remember, domain is x. So it goes as far as negative 5. So you have a 50-50 chance of getting it right now. Now, if the line is going to the right, we said it was going to be numbers that are greater. So you pick the greater than because it's going to the right. If the arrow was going to the left, then it would be less than. If it was asking for the range, then the answer would be 8. Because that would be bottom to top. It starts at negative 4, and then it keeps going. If it was going down, then the answer would be B on the range. Okay, so just watch out for that. All right, that's your review.